Hello. Thank you for listening to and watching You at Options. This episode, I have Dr. Daryl Wilson from the very good band, the Bollweevils. We talk about Dr. Daryl's medical professional history. Very interesting. If you're ever in the Chicago area and you get your wig split, or you choke on a hot dog or something, and you go to an ER, you might get worked on by Dr. Daryl. Great talk. Talk about his professional career, talk about his punk rock career, how all that melts together. Talks about new material that they might be working on. Go check out their most recent single that they put out on the Red Scare 20 Years of Dreaming and Scheming comp, called DNR. Great song. Go check out the Bollweevils wherever you get music. Go follow the Bollweevils at the Bollweevils at the _Bollweevils _Chicago. Google how to spell Bollweevils if you don't know how to. I didn't. Go find at You at Options on Instagram. Follow, like all that good stuff. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And hope you enjoy the episode. Daryl.
Yay, Michael.
Hey, thanks for joining me, man. How are you doing?
Good, man. It's been a while. We tried to work this out for a while.
I know. It's you're a tough guy to nail down.
Hey, man. I'm busy sometimes. I got things going on.
Yeah. We were talking about your professionalisms and work life before. How long have you been a doctor?
Jeez. Let's see, 28 years, I think.
Damn.
20. So let me see. Yeah, let me count this out. So, that'd be residency, and then, 28 years.
Dang.
28 years, including residency. So that's insane. It's a long time. That's more than, it's almost half my life.
Yeah.
Really. Actually, it's more than half my life, actually.
Was it always, you're at ER?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you always want to? Was that the main focus from whenever you started, like medical school, or
a little bit? I mean, I had that inkling going in that I wanted to do emergency medicine when I was a kid, and when I first started thinking I wanted to be a doctor, I was 7, and it was after experience, with my grandfather dying in the hospital. Oh. But I always wanted to be a physician, but I thought, I was going to be, OB or be a pediatrician. Mm-hmm. And then as I got farther and farther in my, educational pursuits and understood more and more about medicine as I investigated it, I started thinking about, surgery and surgical subspecialties. And I thought I was going to be a trauma surgeon for a long time. I kept thinking that. Yeah. And, then I had an opportunity in college to undertake this experience called the practicum, where we actually would observe physicians in their place of work. And one of the places we got to observe was in the emergency department at the hospital I presently work at, which is great. Yeah. And I fell in love with emergency medicine. I thought that it was the greatest profession. And actually, one of the physicians there, he at the time, who I actually took his EMS position, in fact. He came striding in one day, cowboy boots on, tall guy, comes walking in, and he's like, it was afternoon shift, and he said, this is the greatest profession in the world, Daryl. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, man. Just played basketball with my kid, had my morning off, came in this afternoon, get to take care of some people, get paid well, and it's just the greatest profession in the world, man. And that stuck with me. I'm like, seems great. He seemed pretty happy, and and it's like you get to do a lot to help people out immediately. You get to see some immediate results of what you're doing.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, I think this is my calling, and it really fits my personality. And so yeah, I thought that. And then when I got into medical school, of course, you get more exposure to other professions, and surgery was still that back in my brain. And that started really, really having this passion for neurosurgery and even otolaryngology.
Yeah.
And I was kind of getting pushed towards doing neurosurgery, some subspecialty of surgery, but emergency medicine kept pulling me back.
Okay.
And I did my rotations at Cook County, where I did my residency, and it was kind of set. I'm like, I'm doing this. This is my calling. Emergency
You're
medicine.
just locked in. There's
Even during my intern year, some of the neurosurgeons were, rotating through the hospital I was working at during my internship, and they were still saying, you could still switch, you could still do neurosurgery. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to stay with what I'm doing. And I can't regret it. I can't look back and say I'd do something different. I still see myself doing this. Even when I'm asked that question, would you do something different? Would you choose a different profession?
Like in the medical field,
in
a different avenue.
I think this is where I'd end up being no matter what.
Sure. Can you make is there a procedure to make my brain more wrinkly instead of just like trying to learn stuff?
I think it's the only way to do it is by learning new things.
Damn it, Daryl.
I mean, I guess we could attempt to.
I trust you. If you want to do some experimental neuro surgery, I'm fine with it, man.
That would definitely constitute me being thrown into jail for murder, is what it would be.
If it doesn't work, Daryl, we don't know.
You know what? You're right. If it works, I'm a genius. If it doesn't, I'm a murderer.
It's razor thin. Yeah,
thin line we're walking. Thin line we're walking on.
No, just the amount of time that I've been around you, you seem very not shakeable or easily shakeable. And I imagine that's a good thing for an ER doctor to not be like, oh shit, that looks fucked, or whatever.
It doesn't help if you say something like that when you're walking. It definitely leaves a little confidence in you left on the floor somewhere.
Right? Yeah, I've
patients there.
Never seen this before, or something. Something like that. Say that.
Interesting situation here. Let me tell you. I mean, I am shaken by stuff. I mean,
sure, you're human.
It happens, but you can't. It's funny because when people ask you about like your day, like what you've done in the day, and you say, oh, nothing. But my day when I go, it was nothing is probably something you could listen. They make television shows and movies about what we do.
Yeah.
So our day-to-day activities seem to be something of fantasy in some sense. So
sure.
I would say that I'm not shaken very easily by things. If things are bothering me, it's because I let my own anxieties come into play, which I try not to be anxious about a lot of things because it doesn't solve anything. Anxiety doesn't solve a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess, yes, as you've met me multiple times, Mike, it's been, I'm pretty right here.
Unflappable.
I try to be. To be.
Yeah.
People that know me well, though, can push my buttons and definitely set me off pretty quick.
Sure. Yeah. Since you've been almost 30 years now in the profession, is there like today, is there something you can look back on from your early days and be like, shit, I can't believe we were doing that, like that was like kind of barbaric, or is there like an advancement? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I we use ultrasound to place lines now. So it's not by, anatomic feel and things like that.
Yeah.
I was mentioning to a patient the other day, she had a nosebleed. And so we used to have these old techniques we would use for, nasal packing, by layering like Vaseline gauze in the nasopharynx, which was kind of like, oh my God, we have these nice, hemostatic balloons that we use that have a coagulant on them as well. So, I mean, they still pretty much suck when you put them into somebody's, nasopharynx, but it's a lot easier than having to layer this, Vaseline gauze in their nasopharynx. And then we had these older balloons that were pretty brutal. They would stop your nosebleed, but it would feel like it was pushing your eye up into the roof of your skull. But we've changed those things. But there were medications that we used to use that we don't use anymore. I mean, there was a heart failure medication we used to use, Natracor, that wasn't really useful, and nitroglycerin is still just as good.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, everything advances in medicine over time, and that's the thing about science, right? Science is this constant thing of change and questioning what you're doing, and then figuring out if something can be done better.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a concrete thing to it, and I think that's what has kind of caused some people to back away, unfortunately, and eat up pseudoscience really quick, because pseudoscience can just make you feel good, and science is messy, and science is uncertainty.
Sure.
Though there's sometimes we feel certain about what we're doing, we're always looking to further our knowledge. And once you find something new, you're going to change. And I think that our brains human brains are not very good about having change occur. And they have to find ways to make change or phenomenon that they don't understand. They have to make it as simple as possible, not messy and involve work. It's like going back to the old days of, there was this thing I remember hearing, that when the Vikings encountered an eclipse for the first time, that they of course had to figure out, hey, suddenly the sun's blotted out and it's dark in the middle of the day. What are we doing? What happened here? And they couldn't figure out that it's heavenly bodies moving, celestial bodies moving in front of each other. And they would yell at the sky, thinking that Fenris the wolf ate, the sun. And so they yelled and yelled and yelled until the eclipse disappeared. And of course, by virtue of, cause and effect, they're thinking, well, my yelling scared Fenris away. So of course there's a giant wolf in the sky that ate the sun. It's like, that's nah. And if you told them at the time, no, this is the moon moving in front of the sun, they'd have burned you probably, right?
Right.
So I think we still have that mentality in some people to simplify things in a way that makes it seem plausible when it's also full of fantasy and ridiculous things. Until you find the right
I guess the pseudoscience thing it's always been a thing for a long time, but in the past 5 years, it seems like it's exploded more.
I think because information can be that people can have things conveyed to them that can be construed as information, but they can't filter it to see if the information is good or bad. And you hear it, it sounds plausible, and it kind of makes your brain feel pretty good. So you're like, oh, that must be reasonable. It sounds reasonable. Okay, that's good. And then sometimes there's even people of science who buy into it too, and it becomes just canon. And it's a sad state that we live in sometimes. But all you can do is just live by example and try and continue to do, the right thing, and also understand that things change. And part of intelligent, existence is understanding that we don't know anything, right? That's the part of it. And then continuing to try to strive to learn new stuff. That's what intelligent existence is all about.
It's same topic, but a little pivot. I feel strange about medication sales industry. It's just weird to me, in a it just like the salesman aspect, I guess, of where they're like, we're taking out the doctors and to a nice steak dinner, we're trying to sell them
because the conflict of interest comes into play, right? It's like, are you pushing this drug because it's actually useful or helppful in some way, or are you pushing this because you got a trip to someplace, or you got food or something else? And you don't really see drug reps like that. That's the thing. In my residency training, we never saw them come in. That was not allowed. And it is one of those things you have to look at. Like I said, the drug Natracor came out way back when it was supposed to be touted as a great heart failure drug, and it really wasn't. And if you found individuals that were kind of pushing the drug, and even physicians that might have pushed the drug, what was their agenda? Were they being paid by, the company that produced nature for them? And it's like, at that point, how do you trust what they're saying has validity? Because if you're being paid, you want to keep getting paid.
Right.
So that's problematic. So having any kind of incentive to, push something, kind of makes you want to back away, in some sense. And you're right to be somewhat reticent about that. Anytime somebody's paying you for something, you have to say there might be a conflict of interest and disclose that so that people can then make a better decision about what you're saying to them.
My mom was a psychiatric nurse when I was growing up, and so they'd always have sales reps like coming around and be like, "Hey, we're going to Ruth's Chris tonight," or whatever. It's like I benefited from the free half steak that she would bring home for me to eat, but just
my dog is like going nuts. I guess it's either one of two things. It is my daughter's coming in and they're messing around outside. There's a squirrel in the front, which is one thing. Or we are being invaded.
I hope you're not being invaded. So, I'll keep an eye behind you. I'll let you know if somebody pops in. What? So just one dog? Y'all are dog cooks?
One dog. Very good watchdog, I'll tell you.
It sounds I can't see the dog, but the sound it sounds intimidating just from.
For those that are strangers in the home, yes. For everybody else, for us, he's a nice little pup, but he will defend us to the end. So it's a good watchdog. But it does make it hard to have people over who are, we just have to put him away because he's going to be like, hey, I don't trust you around my people. And I will definitely let you know, don't come near them. Which is good. So my daughters, it's funny because there was one of my buddies came from medical school, came over. He'd been visiting from California, and he was out and it's like, oh, hey, that's your dog. So that's him right behind me. And he says, hey, and he tried to go reach to my daughter, one of my daughters, and he was like, nope.
Not having it.
I was like, nope.
No.
Sat in front and like growled.
Ooh.
I'm like, okay, well, this is good, and kind of barked, and I'm like, we need to put him away because he's a safe person. That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
As he's standing behind me in this, his little defensive posture here. I don't know what he's defending me from.
From the hard question.
Right. From the hard question.
The hard question. Do you have to write any academic papers or anything like that?
No. I'm not in an academic center, so no academic papers. I mean, I do, as my other part of my job is I'm the EMS medical director, so I'm in charge of, paramedics in our system here and part of Region 8 here in Illinois. But, it's I don't have to write any specific academic papers that will be published.
Sure.
Did that in residency, a couple things, but nothing. Thank God I don't have to do that now.
I was about to ask, my first degree was an English literature degree, so like writing that just scares me to think about going back and writing like academic type papers.
Right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with writing, in general. But yes, if I had to do a research
or just like the research part where it's just like I gotta go. And
it can be somewhat tedious, but it's useful, and people that love and do it, I appreciate them and the work that they do. But do I want to add that to my plate of other goodies and things? Oh God, no. That just, to me, that's it's anathema to me.
Yeah.
To do that. So
sure.
No.
What's going on with Bollweevils? You guys just did Fest.
We did. That was a great show.
How was that?
Fest is always the best time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like one of my favorite festivals to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a great time. It is like an old home week. You get to see all your friends from all over. It is a chance to see bands you don't always get a chance to see. People come from all over to see bands, and people come from all over to see us, which was amazing. The show was great. All the bands that played were great. We had a great, show ourselves. packed. People couldn't even get in. It was awesome.
That's cool.
And the crowd was so energetic. I mean, that's what we play off of, like, right? It's that whole call response, the whole, energy that they give, that we give.
Yeah.
And it was a symbiotic kind of, relationship of bands, of us playing and then people coming in.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Fest was great. We have a show coming up
December or something.
December 20th. We're playing with the Effigies here in the Metro here in Chicago, and that's going to be great. They're a band that also helped to influence us. In this memorial show for John Kesdy, as well as the record release show.
Mm-hmm.
And John, as he just was the whole Kesdy family were big mentors for us, friends of ours, both John and Pierre from Naked Raygun, of course, head boy. And John was scary, man. He would, and he was always had this look of the scowl, it seemed.
Sure.
And he we were at the Kesey house for like a Thanksgiving. No, not for, it was 4th of July. And John was like scowling at us and, "Are you the Bollweevil guys?" Like, yeah. It's like, you know what? Never go on tour. He would say this thing, just like, never go on tour, never do this. Don't do these things in music. And we're like, we've already gone on tour one time. Don't ever do it again. Don't do this. And just give us information and scaring the crap out of us. And then Pierre would come to our defense and say, just leave these kids alone. Don't mess with them. But as time go on, we'd grow closer together, and John would just rib us, but he was a great guy. And it's sad to have, both him and his brother gone. It's a big loss to Chicago music scene, and just a big loss to all of us who were friends with them, personally. But it's awesome that, they asked us to be a part of the show. I got a call from Andy, plays guitar in the band, and he said, "Hey, we want you guys to, be on the show with us."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, of course. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And so for us to be asked by our heroes, our mentors, to come and do this show, especially if it's being a memorial show for John, and then also their record release show, was like, that's a no-brainer. That's a given. We would do that no matter what.
Yeah, it's crazy to think back. I like to kind of trace steps back from bands, like being like, who influenced who influenced them. And it's to think about, like, if Naked Raygun was never like a thing in Chicago, like how many bands just wouldn't exist.
Right. It's like, because all of us, that was our time of worship. That was our time together. And it's such a familial thing, right? It is, because we're all close, because we all went to the shows together. We all grew up watching them and emulating them in some sense, and going to see them anywhere, but then the Metro being one of the places that was always the mecca of things.
Sure.
And it's like that kind of was the moniker of how you knew you made it, because you
playing Metro.
The Metro, exactly. That's kind of your thing. And you could ask other people like Brendan and people like that will tell you that's kind of you hit this and you've done it, right? You've
benchmark.
Made it to a point. It's like, that's your benchmark. And so, but they were definitely the biggest influence on all of us, and still are. They're still our friends and mentors. And they've made it. They made it look like it was possible for us to do this. Because it was like, you saw these guys that were bigger than life on the stage. Always. But then you could see them out and about and living in real life,
so
it made you go like, they're bigger than me, but they're kind of like me, just
normal folks,
right?
Farting around.
But they always were more than normal, right? They always were still heroes, but it made them real, and they were tangible, and so it's the biggest influence on all of us. If they didn't exist, I don't know where any of us would be.
I think I've said this before on here, but like, just being able to go up to those Beat Kitchen shows for the 20-year Red Scare, I was like, just hanging out with everybody. I'm like, fuck, this is surreal for some stupid little punk kid from Alabama being like, this is this is it. Yeah.
And everybody's just, and it's like you're running, and you're like, I can't, it's like, you're from, it's like people are just there because they support. And it's a weird thing. It's not even weird. It's a good thing because it's a
good
nice,
surreal thing. Yeah. Not weird. Yeah.
Yes. It's a very good thing.
Yeah. Like, I was like, that's Dan Fabin right there. But he's, complaining about like his mail route or something. I was like, oh yeah, he's just a fucking dude,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny.
A dude that can write some really, really good songs.
Yeah.
That's the dude that can do that,
Yeah.
and deliver the mail on time.
So there you go. Yeah. Two important things. Yeah. It's, how's the response been to DNR from the 20-year?
So far, pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always one of those things you want to continue to push, songs, and the whole compilation is just, great front to back. You can't find a song that's bad on there, right?
Yeah.
You just listen to it, and you can listen to it straight through. I mean, it should be on some people's list for record of the, one of the records of the year. I would say, but I mean, it's like you go from that, you hear, No Trigger song, you hear, Elway playing, you hear Laura Jane Grace doing song, it's like mentioning her song on there. It's like you keep going, the Holy Mess is on there, for Christ's sake. It's like you have band after band after band, and it's like it gets, it's there, but then there's another song you hear, you're like, another song's here.
Yeah.
So I think it sounded great to have that song brand new from us out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working on a bunch of other new songs right now, in fact, which is, great. Yeah. And so it just, once again, pushes us to continue to like not procrastinate on trying to get a new song out. Because we like that song is out. Love that song. But now it's time to write and get out the next songs and have those things going. And having it on that compilation with all those bands is great, so that we're heard by more people as well. So we're totally happy with that recording and that song.
Yeah.
But there's just more to come.
Sure. Is album? What are we thinking?
Well, we're talking about, we have right now, there are 2 songs we have that are pretty much all the skeletal stuff's put together and worked out pretty well. Harmonies are good. Ken brought some other ones recently to rehearsal. Joe Mizzy's got a song that he's got that we're working on. So there's a good 4 or 5 of them. We hope to have like a total of 12 songs at some point together, and then start releasing things, hopefully like as singles, and then getting something together as a full length at another time. So that's our plan. Yeah. And I say that, and I remember saying stuff about, the next Bollweevils record, when I got asked this by people years ago, and then it took forever to get, the last record out, to have Essential come out.
Yeah.
But so I'll be like, any person and say, oh yeah, we got these stuff happening. Then suddenly life hits you and it makes delays occur. But we are at least in the effort of putting things together, trying to get things put out. And I know I talked to our, Jeff Dean at Fest, and he's like, hey man, let's book time. Let's get it done. Trying to get something in spring. Hopefully the songs are ready by that time, but
you got time. Yeah,
we got time.
Are you
time ticks away really quick.
That's true. Do you find yourself, especially with like writing, are you a procrastinator? I say that as myself, being a procrastinator, or how does that, what does that look like, your creative process?
Well, it's funny because I have like gobs of lyrics that are written for things for songs that don't exist.
Right.
And our process of writing is like, a tune will come up, and it's like I can't force fit some of the lyrics that I've written into the songs, because the songs have a different sound to them and a different feel, and it has a whole different theme that seems to come out of the music when I'm hearing it. Yeah. And so I might have to write something that's completely opposite of this and write something that's brand new for that. And that's usually how most songs get written. It's brand new stuff when I'm hearing the music. I have lyrics, but it might just be poetry that I'm writing, and it doesn't necessarily fit into a song that has ever been written yet, and I'm not that musically inclined to be able to write music. I wish I could.
I feel you.
I can hear a tune and understand what sounds well and what sounds good.
Yeah.
But I can't play an instrument well. I can't play guitar. So if I could, I'd do my own acoustic tour, because that's what punk rock guys are doing now, playing acoustic music
right
going on hot right now.
Yeah.
But I can't. So, Ken will write, we'll write the music, and then Joe's writing stuff too.
Yeah.
And I can hear what they're playing, and then it's like, oh yeah, I can hear another, vocal cadence to this, and this seems like this theme because the song feels like it's in this vein.
Yeah.
And I'll write something completely for that. Do I procrastinate? I wouldn't say I procrastinate. I'd say that my time gets eaten up by other things that have to fit higher on the priority list.
Busy guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when I start trying to write something, I'll get into points where it's like, I'll put something down. I'll start thinking of a melody, and then we'll do it. And then I'll realize I don't like anything that I've done with it. And so then I have to start over again. And that starts to then seep into this frustration loop.
I feel that. This frustration feedback loop. Yeah.
Right. And then at some point you have to just like leave it and walk away and not touch it.
Yeah.
And then just have this thing flowing in your head. And the problem is I've already sang it one way, and then it keeps popping up, and I know I don't like that.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm like, okay, I have to suddenly just completely do something that's opposite.
Yeah.
Or anti what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I might hear it again, and it sounds new, and I can think of something else. So it takes a while. So it's not procrastination. It's just the artistic craft takes some time to perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you're a dad and a professional, professional man. So, I don't really have an excuse. I got 4 cats, so maybe that's my excuse. I got a job.
They require care, and
that's right.
So that it's not like that's not lowered in any way. It requires care for those things.
That's right. Silly question here. Yeah. Do you think if like a horse got shot in front of you, and they're like, "We need somebody to try and save this horse," do you think you could save the horse like from a gunshot wound?
It'd be like asking a veterinarian if they could save a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't. I mean,
if we were in a group together, I'd be like, "This is the guy. You don't want to talk to me."
Right. I don't. I mean, if it comes down to the idea that you have to once again control the ABCs. Everybody needs an airway. We all require oxygen. They need to be breathing okay, and you need to stop bleeding because you need circulation. I can do those things. Yeah. But if it comes to the specific anatomy and the need to repair something or no. Yeah. That's not. No. I mean, if we're in the zombie apocalypse, am I going to be your veterinarian and your physician?
Sure.
And of course, that's the zombie apocalypse. But otherwise, no, we got large animal vets out there.
It's true.
Right? So, and if somebody's shooting a horse, we got to figure out why they're doing that, and maybe stop that individual from shooting the horse.
Yeah, it might have been like, I don't know. I didn't think that far into the scenario. Maybe this like this horse was just innocent bystander. They were out doing whatever horses do. And,
innocent bystander horse is getting shot. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Just wrong place, wrong time.
It sounds like there's something we need to like look into this.
A deeper issue, yeah.
Dive into this deep.
That's fair. To go back to the Metro, do you remember what your first show as Bollweevils playing Metro was?
Oh yeah, that was the 9th gala anniversary of the Metro itself. We opened up for Naked Ray Gun.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was our first Metro show.
That's cool.
Insane. So of all things, we get to play the Metro, opening up for the band that was our greatest influence. Yeah. And and it was amazing. And we played, and usually opening bands for Ray Gun were kind of like there to play but shunned and not to be a good band. We were received really well. Okay. And it was like, and then we threw out these tapes that we had and it had our first couple recordings on them. And after the show, we're backstage, and Pierre comes back and he's like, "Hey man, you got one of those tapes? I really like your band." And then, I mean, at that point, I like lost it. Like You're kidding me. Like Pierre Kesey's in front of us and he's asking us for a tape.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, no way. This is surreal, man. This is not happening. And that was like it. And then of course we go from playing the Metro to going back to playing VFW halls and basements and things like that. So you know, you get a taste of that and you're like, I'm gonna make it back there. And then we did. We came back and played our own headlining shows there, which was cool. Until we got banned from there, which of course is a whole other thing.
Sure.
So, fighting doesn't help you when you're fighting the bouncers and things.
It's you can't fight the staff.
No, that'll usually get you kicked out of a place for a while. But we got invited back, so there
you go. It's now it's a fun story.
Full circle. Yes, it was a cool story, bro. We got into a fight with
cool
guys.
Story, bro. Yep.
We incited a riot and got kicked out of the place. Par for the course when you're a punk rock band.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Do you usually get in the crowd during shows?
I do. I do. I think that as a maybe it's a nervous tick or something. I really just like the visceral feel of being in the crowd.
Yeah.
Because that's what you come out of when you're at a show.
Yeah.
You get that whole energy from the crowd, and being out there, I want to get some of that energy. I like being out there. It's fun. I get to be with everybody who's there to have fun too.
Yeah.
And it's like there's always something to remember about that, right? I mean, you can play a show and play every note perfectly, and be up on stage and not move and shoegaze or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
But you could just listen to that at home. But if you're at a show, you want to have a show happen. You want something to happen at a show that you remember.
Yeah.
And you'll remember that if suddenly the singer of the band or the guitar player or somebody is in the crowd with you.
Yeah.
And they're singing along with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. That's awesome. I love that. It's just like the crowd is it. The energy is good.
Yeah.
And even if the energy is not good, it starts to change when you're out there because people feel the energy you're trying to give off. So I think that I like the act of being off the stage because the stage is a barrier to almost separate things out. And music's supposed to be enjoyed by everybody. And if I'm not enjoying it, then why do it? And I enjoy it like hopefully you're enjoying it when we're playing.
When was the last time Bollweevils played a floor show? When was that?
Jeez.
I'm sure it's been a long time.
Man, the funny thing is that that stage at the Woolly is kind of on the floor.
It's a little, it's
like really low,
foot off the ground.
Yeah. So it's not like it's that high up.
Yeah.
But the last we did we play on the floor in Denver? I think no, we didn't. Shoot, that's been a while.
Yeah.
Since we played a show on the floor at a place. Wow. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Do you ever you guys play big rooms, all that stuff, all that cool stuff.
And small rooms.
And small rooms. But do you ever feel like a desire to be like, let's do something fucking weird and play on the floor at a place or, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I guess so in some senses because I wouldn't put it past us doing something like that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we did do the show, we were on tour, we were playing in Washington State, and I think we were supposed to play with the band Dumb Truck or something like that. Some band, I can't remember. Or Monster Truck, something. Some band didn't show up.
Something with Truck. Yeah.
So they didn't show up. And we were on stage, and it's like, the crowd was there, and it's like, hey, you know what? It was a bigger venue too, so we just invited everybody up on stage just to be on stage while we played, and it was like a cool vibe. It was like that was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's not we're not some big timers that wouldn't play on the floor. I mean, that's just you play anywhere. It's just punk rock. So I don't know why people get so bent out of shape or so stick up their ass that they are better than something. It's like monitors are gonna be monitors. You're gonna play. You're gonna play. You practice in a place that has no monitors half the time anyway.
Right.
So play the songs, have a good time, enjoy the show, and then hopefully people remember something out of it.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always funny when bands try to like big boy, or just like, come on, man, we're just playing punk rock here. What
Yeah,
are we?
it's like, it's like all of us have day jobs and do
Right.
things, and punk rock is awesome. You like to, have at least sustain itself. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's not something where we're solving, the Lindbergh baby case or anything like that. We're just playing three chords and
Our silly songs.
Yeah,
My
doing
silly
some
song.
songs, and hopefully people sing along and have a good time. And it's like, don't sweat it too much, don't make too much out of it. Just do your best and be done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like we're Metallica or Oasis getting back to. There's millions of dollars on the line,
Right. It's like, we might not get paid tonight, so let's make sure we're like, it's like, there you go.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, the punk rock's great. It's I wouldn't, I don't even want to think about if I didn't get into punk rock where I would be. Some boring dude. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe not. I think everybody would find still something that would,
a thing. Yeah,
that would make you stand out and be the difference maker in something, or I don't. If it wasn't punk rock, it'd be something else that would be the draw. I don't know what it would be. Like for me, I don't know what it would be. But I mean, I'd like other geeky things like, comic books and board games and, cartoons and just music in general. And, something would stick out that would bring you this quirk or whatever, and this alternative thinking in some sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be, poetry slams. I don't know. It might be something. But
could be.
I mean, I think as people who are in punk rock, there's something that is draws you to this artistic outlet for your angst, and it'd be writing something or making some kind of artistic production. You'd be doing something artistic.
Yeah, that and definitely like tribe, finding your tribe or whatever is a big deal.
Right.
Do you totally two different things, obviously, but do you get similar satisfaction from doctoring as you do punk rock?
It's different stuff, right?
Sure.
I think it is satisfying in the sense that I always want to try and do the best I can on both aspects of things. I think the punk rock stuff is more personal to me. I think as my outlet away from some of the stuff in medicine. Medicine is my primary thing, and it is a thing I like to do because it is an expression of my talent. I can actually help other people in some way. I know people have said sometimes, "Hey, your music has helped me in some sense," and I'm glad that has happened. I don't think that I've written any. People are going to take music personally in some sense, but medicine is going to be a universal thing. That, hey, if you have a GI bleed, you're gonna have a GI bleed. I have to take care of your GI bleed. If you have, laceration, I'm gonna repair the laceration, etc. I get satisfaction out of knowing that I've done good work and I've helped people, through in both realms. But medicine has its own thing because there's certain things that you can do there that you can't do in music.
Right.
I can truly have a moment where I go, I saved that person's life.
Yeah.
And somebody goes through their music, you saved my life, but it's an esoteric way of saving someone's life versus you were on the brink of death. I saw that, and now you're alive and you're talking to me.
Right.
So it's a different kind of satisfaction in that sense of things.
Yeah. Do you
both satisfying nonetheless? Both satisfying nonetheless.
Yeah. Have people in your being a doctor that you've saved or helped, have people sent you like cards or like gifts? That's I told you my brother is a ER doctor in New Orleans, and like he's very similar to you, where he's just like, how was work? He's like, it's all right. He's not like, oh, this dude had a machete in his head when he came in. He's not like that. But like, I'll go to his house and see like a card on his fridge. It's like, oh, Dr. McAuliffe, you know, stop my whatever. I was having a heart attack. Whatever it is. I was like, damn, that's so crazy.
It's important because a lot of times you just go on to the next case. And you
Yeah.
have to just keep on moving through. And there's ones that come back. I had somebody bring up something yesterday. You know, one of my former paramedic students who now works as a tech in the ER, she actually told me a story and wanted to tell me she ran into a patient and their family weren't taken care of before. And the patient's wife had brought up something, you know, Dr. Wilson saved my husband's life. I was wondering if he was here, and I wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
And she said, but one thing I remembered so much is that while he was taking care of my husband, he came out and talked to me and gave me the biggest hug ever. To, like, during my time when I was so distraught, and he gave me this hug, and I remember that. And she remembered that. And I remember comforting people all the time, but that specific thing was brought up, and I'm like, wow, that's important. And it's just, I'm going to do that anyway, right? To take care of people. So it's not like I'm making some special big time effort to do something different. It's just that's what we're supposed to do as human beings, to take care of other human beings. And so that's good to know that the natural things that we do as human beings still have a profound effect upon how we feel, how we go through life. I wish there was more of that in some sense, but wishing doesn't make anything happen. So I just have to do through my examples. I just have to live through my example and just do that. I can only control me. So I have to keep doing what I do. And hopefully some people see it and then they want to also do that. And it's the ray of light kind of analogy, right? You know, even though it might be dark everywhere, even a couple lumens of light will show up and you can see them. And so hopefully there's other light bringers out there that are trying to do what they can to illuminate the darkness, right? It sounds so cliche, but it kind of is that thing. You have to just be that little light that you can be, and then continue to do it. It's sometimes hard. You get dim sometimes.
Sure.
You need other people to kind of provide oxygen to let the flame flourish. But in essence, it's always going to be your effort that just kind of shines through no matter what. Even other people can't fluff you up as much as you think. It's going to be you. So, I get cards. I get, you know, all kinds of recognitions for things. You know, you also get people that want to just tear you down as well, but they get more good than bad. Really, that's good. Comes out of it. That's the good thing about it. There's more good than bad.
That's good. Do you, is there a lot of burnout in like ER doctors?
Oh God, yeah. We're like the worst.
I was about to say, like,
we're the worst.
I would imagine like a burnt out ER doctor just kind of like going through the motions when, you know, somebody's bleeding out. We're like, all right, dude, can you help? Can you do, you know, or just kind of.
The thing about it is that people, it's the burnout. I mean, it could affect individuals, you know, performance on things, but most of the time people are going to buck up and do what they got to do. But usually the burnout affects, you know, your personal life. It affects things as you take it home, and then suddenly you're not engaging with your family. You're trying to find ways to self-medicate, and you might be drinking more, or you might be more apt to be angry, or you're just like depressed. The worst thing it could lead to individuals, you know, harming themselves or dying. So, you know, and burnout's not a bad term. It's just a term that probably doesn't really fit what it is, because burnout kind of implies that it's your fault.
Sure.
And I think what it really is, and many people have stated this term, it's more moral injury. And so, you know, you find that you're trying to do this mission, and then there's forces that keep changing what the mission actually is. And it leads to you having this dilemma of like, what the hell? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting up with this? It's like you can't find the right pathway. So I think, and everybody, I mean, a lot of us have dealt with this. I've dealt with, you know, aspects of moral injury. And then you have to really find ways to reassess what you're doing. Like, you can always make a decision and not do what you do. You know, you can say, I'm not doing this anymore. But sometimes that's not the real problem. I mean, the real problem is really looking at it from a different perspective and seeing what is it that really got you into this in the first place. What are those things that you can actually focus on that will help to keep you on your mission? And how do you also continue to fill your own bucket and not allow yourself to be drained of where you stand? And, you know, I think the biggest sometimes simplest thing is to make it simple and go, what do I simply enjoy about what I do? And it's like taking care of people. And no matter what it is, no matter what the metrics are that they're trying to measure you with, no matter what the, CMS says is you have to document, no matter, what some patient might say to you, or some person has a bad report that they read about you or whatever. It's like, in the end, it's like, what are you doing here? You're here for each individual person.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that what you do is focusing on them at that time. And then when you're done doing that, how do you focus on you? And then also, then you can focus on the other things. And I think sometimes it's taking a list and putting priorities of where they really stand, because, and I've said this before, I learned this a bit ago, that the word priorities was a singular word for a long time. It wasn't plural.
Okay.
And so it became plural more so to try to create more time out of nothing, like during the Industrial Revolution or something like that.
Okay.
People had to work more.
Yeah.
So you have to have a priority. You can't have priorities. It's impossible to have more than one priority.
To be the main.
But when you do that, you have to list them out and figure out which ones fit in a spot. And anytime you take something else and make it a priority, you have to move something down the list.
Sacrificing. Yeah.
So I know what my priorities really are. It's like my health is my priority number one. If I'm not healthy, then nothing else happens. And then my marriage is number two, and then my kids. So those are my top three.
Yeah.
And anything else that falls in there, whether it's, being an ER physician, whether it's, doing my EMS stuff, whether it's playing in a band, whether it's, reading comic books, whether it's, playing board game, whether it's any of those other things that pass up in there.
Yeah.
It's like, if I move something up and say it's going to be a priority, I got to move these other things down.
Yeah.
And, you have to make decisions and choices on where do your things lie. Are you going to sacrifice your health to move something up higher?
Right.
Are you going to sacrifice your marriage and your kids to move something up higher? It's like,
got to get comic books up there.
Right. But it's like, you don't, when you move those things, you have to realize you sacrifice those other things,
right.
as you said.
Yeah.
And so, you have to be really cognizant of that. And I don't think people really are. They think they can keep everything at the same level of number one, and that's impossible. That's just an impossibility. So I've really taken that into heart, and it helps to really ameliorate some of the feelings of moral decay that are associated with it. So I don't feel that anymore. I was in it for a while. It was pretty dark.
Sure.
But no, not now. I mean, I'm pretty good about where I am, and it's easy breezy to say I can't control other stuff outside.
Yeah.
I can only control my response to it. It truly is what I'm going to do. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. Hey, what happens if suddenly you get this thing and it changes your position? That I guess I'm eating someplace else. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I can't worry about things that don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like, let me grab onto the universe and push it. It's like,
right.
Okay, one, you can't do that. And if you did, the universe would push back and it wouldn't care.
Yeah.
So just worry about yourself, man. And just do that. So just worry about you.
Yeah. That was a big freeing thing that I've found out. Just like can't live in a world of hypotheticals of like, well, shit, what if a fucking plane just flies through my house right? Like, Donnie Darko, the plane engine falls into my house right now. Like that probably won't happen, but
right.
Yeah.
And to live like that every day leaves you stuck in a rut. You're muddled in anxiety, which doesn't solve anything. If I had that as my, beginning and end, I'd never reach the middle. I'd never get anything accomplished. And that you don't want your emergency physician mired in the what ifs. It's like I have to deal with the what ares, and I plan.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? Okay, we'll take care of things when we get to those things.
Yeah.
So and so it's just not. I tell my kids sometimes, I'm like, has anything ever been solved by panicking? Nope. Okay, so then let's not panic. It just doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the plane's going down. Let's panic. It's like, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
Scully didn't land the plane by panicking.
Scully,
Right. That's how that works.
Yeah. Oh shit! I'm more of a flight guy. Did you watch that movie with
I did.
Denzel?
With Denzel,
I,
I did.
I don't know if you can fully invert like a 747, but
No.
yeah,
All I have to say is, as a watching that movie, I'm like, oh, this is starting off as an interesting movie.
Yeah.
The first couple scenes, I'm like, hey, here we go. Cool.
Yeah.
Denzel. Look at Denzel. All right.
Look at him go. Yeah.
Look at him go.
Well, Daryl, we've had almost a full hour here.
Get out. That really? It seemed like it was only 20 minutes.
Yeah. No.
Get out of town. That's
okay.
easy breezy, Mike. That's easy breezy.
I try to be. But so one last. This will be the last topic. Last talking point. Have you watched the Penguin Show?
I'm not done with it, so I'm in the middle of it. So
I'm like episode 5, maybe.
Yeah, something around there. I mean, is this after Falcone gasses everybody in the house?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I'm at that one. Yeah, I'm at that one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. It's great. Yeah.
I do love it too. I think Matt Reeves' Batman universe is actually pretty good. I like it. I like it. I mean, it's definitely, a Batman who's, new to the game. He's not the greatest detective. He is fallible. He's still not feared by everybody because they don't really know, and he doesn't know who he is in some senses. And the kind of the grounded, mobster background of the Penguin was really good because considering that Oswald Cobblepot was an aristocratic Gothamite, and comes from this family of wealth, but still then plays in the underworld in the comic books, is like, okay, that's cool. But I think this iteration is really, really good with the grittiness and mob kind of organized crime situation involving the Penguin. I haven't gotten to the endings yet, so but I love it. I love where it's set up. I do. I still think Batman's a problematic character as a character study of the hero who is living this tragic life, and unfortunately and it's been explored in some essence that Batman is he's solving his problems in the worst way ever, and he's not helping Gotham, though he has the means to do it. And he chooses instead, I'm going to spend my wealth on weapons to beat up poor people,
toys,
and and wear a cowl and intimidate because I'm just sad that my parents are dead. It's like, come on, it's like, oh, Batman, oh come on, Bruce. It's like just
but when they first started making these comic book characters, they were all just flat, just like it's a good guy or a bad guy,
Yeah.
But it definitely evolved.
It has, and it's like the joke is. I mean, the joke is that, hey, Batman won't do the job that needs to be done. He won't take care of me, and I'm going to continue to terrorize Gotham and murder people until he breaks his silly game of I'm just going to beat people to a pulp and never do the deed of killing the Joker, because that would stop this, because you have a moral code that is a joke, Batman. Just a joke. That is the joke. The joke is on you, Batman, that none of your stuff is going to make a difference because you won't do what has to be done. It's like, come on. This is what trended me more towards, like I used to all about Batman, right? I love the street level characters and all those things like Daredevil and Moon Knight and all those guys that you going across the whole different, DC and Marvel universe and all those things, and even going into, some Image comics and things like that. But the funny thing is, it's like, oh my dog's crying. It's like I think that there's something to be said for liking the iconography of Superman, in some sense, right? That is having this character who is the higher level of good, who also is not really from here, and but adopts the planet of Earth as their home and wants to defend it, and is raised in this moral character of, hey, doing good is the thing and standing up for truth, and all these things are important, that he can't lie. It's like, there you go. And he's basically a god who chooses not to destroy us. Right.
It's true.
And his weakness, I guess, is really not a weakness. It should be a gain for his, because he loves the people. He loves everybody. That's the people try to exploit that. And it's like, they can never really win because they can't exploit how much he cares about his family, the people around him, the planet, all these things.
Yeah.
And despite him having all this power to become this overlord, and it's been written in the dystopian type of Superman stories, he doesn't choose to do that. That's like the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
So I've learned to really start liking Superman as a character, because I can think how difficult it is to write that character because he's so infallible and indestructible. But you know, Batman has his flaws, and I guess it's great because we as human beings feel flawed, and he's human, but he's so beyond human because he can basically plan for everything and have it all ready to go. But you know, I don't know, we're getting deep into the weeds.
Yeah.
Other thing.
We're gonna wrap this rascal up here, Dr. Daryl. But yeah, thanks for joining me. You got to stay on for a minute for your little thing to upload, but you had options, but you decided to talk to me, and I appreciate it.
Mike, anytime, man.
Hell yeah.